Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hassett Sabbath Fellowship. Thank you for joining us. We are virtual only, based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The phone number works if you'd like to contact us. We do the philosophy of eschatology, what you need to know, your reality or existence. We're working on solving little pieces of Revelation each week. This one is Revelation chapter 9 and chapter 12, discussing the prison releases that are coming because people are conjuring this. So years ago, we have the Crowley character, and then we have Alice Bailey, and we have other people that are trying to conjure the release of the prisoners, and I'll show you in the verses. So their big day is coming up. It's Lucifer Day, we'll call it, which is June 11th, 2025. I realize that that's a Roman type of rather a Latin translation, Lucifer, Lightbringer, but you know what? It still works. So the main thing is, I was digging around trying to find the centennial conclave of the hierarchy, which is the demonic side of this, the evil side. And I saw the eclipses of this year, March 13th and 14th and September 7th and 8th, but I couldn't figure out when they were going to do their 2025 conference. Well, now I know it's right in between. So we're going to have, right in between, and I'll show you in the next slide, but basically they're going to have their conclave between the blood moon eclipses because they know that it has meanings. It's significant, okay? And so they're looking for the Lord of the world and his members of his council. That sounds like Revelation chapter 4 and 5, okay? Watch the process of decision in order to see how far the will of the hierarchy conforms to the aspect of it's all, but basically what they're getting at is they're getting close to something huge. The prison break, we'll call it. So on the upper right hand side, you can see the blood moon eclipse of March and then a bunch of full moons, and then you have their event on June 11th, and then two more full moons, and then the blood moon eclipse in the fall in September. And so June 11th is in the midst of this. It's very interesting. And so that's their meeting day, okay? And so World Invocation Day, June 11th, 2025. And I'm thinking, how could I have not found this? Well, she found it. That's Courtney Turner over on the side here, and I'm going to try to get her onto our Prophecy Roundtable show. Thank you, Courtney. I could not find this. But yeah, she's saying these predictions are coming true about Lord Maitreya, and she calls it a cyber Satan, which is interesting. But basically, they're going to get together now, and this is in the midst of the blood moon eclipses. Do you understand the occultism behind all of that? So what are we trying to do? We're explaining the Bible. Yes, it's in the Bible. The real prophecy of the evil side matches up with the good side, obviously. Jesus is returning. And then the news. What's going on with those things? So the Lord of the world, the members of his council. This sounds like Revelation, where Yeshua is opening up the seals. And then you've got the Presbyterians, we'll call them, the Presbyteros, the elders that are with him up in heaven. And so only the Lamb can open up the seals. Well, on the other side, you've got the Satanists wishing to have a conclave, and they've been trying to get this going since 1425. So this is the 25th year of each century. They have these meetings where they try to conjure up the evil spirits, to get the fallen angels to be released from prison, things like that. So I've been looking for this for, 6 months or so. And so I want to show you that in 1390, they started the Masons, the magic, the myth, the things like that. But by 1425, they codified it. Okay? And so the Lord of the world obviously is the Satan, and I want you to see this in perspective, because this has been going on for years and years and years. So you started in 1425, then through 1904 you had Aleister Crowley, and he was doing magic, rock and roll, and the wickedest man in the world. Well, basically he prophesied something in 1904 in Egypt that seemed to be related to the Aleph Tav eclipses of 2017 and 2021 and 2023 and 2024, and then that huge one in 2024. They're meaningful, okay? We don't exactly know yet, but now this is a year later, and we're 10 years past the blood moon eclipses of 2014, 2015. So there's a meaning there. He prophesied many weird things. We'll go on to the next slide. So this guy, Alex Dalasio, Eclipse, CERN, and Aleister Crowley. CERN's involved in it too, trying to open up these portals to the mystical, but really to release the prisoners from heaven or different parts, okay? And so, yeah, he's stating that these different eclipse paths have meaning, and that Aleister Crowley was trying to make contact with a demon. You can see it in the red there in the middle. I'm not going to say the name, but it's AIWASS, okay, who dictated Crowley's book of the law, okay, like the Torah. And then that's what the alien looks like, okay, so that creature that's named that strange name. And Led Zeppelin's involved in this too. Love is the law, love is under will. Aleister Crowley, Alice Bailey, weird stuff year after year after year. Their legacy lives on in evil. Okay, so Aleister Crowley wrote strange things about Egyptian hieroglyphics and evil and wickedness and releasing wickedness and whatever else. And he cursed all the time. And so just keep in mind that there's an Egyptian name of Apophis that's scheduled to hit the world, probably near Puerto Rico, April 13th of 2029. And so it'll be interesting to just see that this seems to be involved with Aleister Crowley and cursing the world. So continuing on, people are starting to talk about this ascension and contact between these masters, we'll call them, which is demons and fallen angels, and the earth, okay? And the awakened ones who hold the frequency of Christ consciousness. Think of that as that's their Messiah, false Messiah. But then also that they want to be involved in the 144,000. They want to confuse us on all of these aspects. And so in 1922, there was a company formed called Lucifer Publishing, and was there to fund and publish witchcraft and demonic books and study. Okay, the name was so repulsive they finally changed it to Lucis Trust. So that's who we're dealing with today. And Alice Bailey's was a part of that, and others have been a part of that. They're Satanists, things like that. They're demonic. They also have an office in the UN, okay, so they can publish through the UN and curse through the UN. They advocate for open contact with ascended masters or demons. 2025 is their huge year. They're planning for this, and so it's popping up all over the place, but I couldn't figure out when and where they were going to meet. So I've been following Benjamin Creme for years and years and years. I found him back in 2006, and he was trying to bring this Christ consciousness, which would be Maitreya in his term, and that would be the false Messiah. Okay, and then they show this guy, and he always is pictured to look like Jesus. Okay, in whatever we think he would look like, or possibly a Muslim fellow too. So he appeared out of nowhere in 1988, spoke for 15 minutes, and took off. Okay, fine. But also other people have been cursing along the way too. So Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, she was part of the preparatory phase. Alice Bailey, as I've mentioned, 1919 to 1949, the intermediate phase. We're in the close phase now. And just so you're aware that Benjamin Creme is dead now. He died in 2016. So we seem to be moving into this final phase of what they want to do, which is releasing the demons and the fallen angels. So Alice Bailey listened to some demon called Master DeWall Cool that basically translated everything for her, and it's mystical, it's weird, but basically what I want you to see is this the similarities between the pagan Lord Maitreya and Yeshua the Messiah. They want him to be Christ-like, which would be Messiah-like for them. And this is Aleister Crowley. This is obviously Alice Bailey too. And so with Lord Maitreya, with God, all things are possible, but it's not that God. It's the Satan God. It's the Lord of the earth. Okay? And so the Ascended Masters, weird stuff. Just keep that in mind. So once again, Lucis Trust is the same as Lucifer Publishing, which is the same as Alice Bailey and Aleister Crowley, and Love in Action, whatever that means. So they talk about the hierarchy of one great ashram, but there are 7 ashrams, supposedly, whatever that means, maybe 7 different types and phases and things like that. One ashram consists of 7 divisions, 7 ashrams, or centers of consciousness, whatever that means. But once again, Christ as the world teacher will return, but it's not Yeshua. It's more like a Mahdi, the Imam Mahdi, or Maitreya, or the Kalki avatar. They talk about avatars all the time. So just that's what they're pushing for. That's what they want. Once again, he will look like Yeshua HaMashiach, but he will be either Maitreya or some other, I don't know, some other icon, so to speak. But you can see how they want to pattern him like Yeshua, but he's not. And so let's go through some of the texts that they've talked about. Thus, a great and new movement is proceeding, and a tremendously increased interplay and interaction is taking place. This will go on until AD 25, which is where we are right now. And we're coming up to their date. They want to kick it off, which is June 11th of 2025. And down below here, the present cycle is technically called the stage of the forerunner. It's a preparatory in nature, testing on its methods, and intended to be revelatory in its techniques and results. You can see, therefore, that the Chokans, the masters, the initiates, the world disciples, and aspirants affiliated with the hierarchy are all at this time passing through the cycle of great activity. But then they expect to release their demons and fallen angels in about this time frame. So, whoops, I'm sorry, I went too fast here. So this is from Ancient Inquiries, Rediscover the Past, Alice Bailey's Prophecy about 2025, and this links to the Kalakrakra Tantra, whatever. Okay, on the right-hand side, the year 2025 has been specifically mentioned by Theosophist Alice Bailey in some of her writings nearly a century ago as being a herald of a period of impending transformation. Alice Bailey had written more than 24 books on various theosophical and esoteric subjects. She claimed that the majority of her works, which were written between 1919 and 1949, had been telepathically transmitted to her by the Tibetan master Dual Kul, a demon eye state. Okay, continuing on, there are these avatars involved in it, and then she's pushing for the hierarchy of these small g gods, or angels, fallen angels, I submit, to work for the evolution of human consciousness. Okay, that's one thing that she wrote, but it would begin after 2025. In 2025, the date of all probability will be set for the first stage of the externalization of the hierarchy. The stage of the forerunner is technically going on up until that time, and then we seem to be kicking into the next phase. There's also this weird 80-year time frame from 1945 to 2025. They've got their three recognitions, which are the destruction of mankind to be averted by recognition of the Christ spirit within, which means we don't need Yeshua HaMashiach. We need some kind of a false Christ, a false Messiah, obviously. Recognition of the hierarchy, whatever that means, that's demons and fallen angels. Recognition of the divine plan, which is their divine plan, which is evil and wicked. Bailey points out some prophecies say that the destruction by fire is also a possibility. Yes, it is. If humanity fails to unite under the banner of peace and safety, forces of light, against the forces of the material aggression and selfishness, then the fiery ordeal might be unavoidable. Interesting. Okay, so once again, Alice Bailey's been written about for many, many years. What I want to show you is that she tries to act like a Christian, or tried. She's dead now. But she set things up as Lucifer Publishing, then Lucis Publishing, and she uses white magic. And let's see here, with the plan, whatever, divine plan, things like that, ageless wisdom. It's demonic. And her Tibetan, and whenever Satan wants to take a vacation, he goes to Tibet. Just keep that in mind. So, is she a devoted Christian? No. She believes in the externalization of the hierarchy, whatever that means. Spiritual hierarchy is a process of externalizing so that in time the masters will again walk on earth. They want the fallen angels to walk on the earth amongst us. Alice Bailey again. Okay, so she's pushing for things while saying that she's a devoted Christian woman, according to Patrick Chenard on the right-hand side. But on the left-hand side, take God and prayer out of the educational system. Reduce parental authority over children. Destroy the traditional Christian family structure. If sex is free, make legal and easy. You know what the word is. Death. And make divorce easy and legal. Free people from the concept of marriage for life. Make certain types of sex an alternative lifestyle. Debase art, make it run mad. Use media to promote and change mindset. Create an interfaith movement. Get government to make all these laws and get the church to endorse these changes, and you'll own it all. So she talked like she was a Christian, but she was trying to break down society, and they have done an excellent job up to this point. So she, on the left-hand side, just notice the year 2012. That seemed to be their changeover year. And I state that the third seal opened up in that year, and so they were prancing towards 2025. Now, according to Christian tradition, the Catholics, 2025 is a Jubilee year. And it's possible in the Jewish calendar that it's also that that year of the Jubilee. The ageless wisdom suggests that the 25-year of every century, there's a gathering on the settled plains of all masters, saints, rishis, enlightened beings, and over time this is followed by significant changes in humanity. Because of the growth of soul values, whatever that means, the sense of synthesis, the inclusive spirit, and the rejection of separateness by people of intelligent goodwill, there are grounds for expecting the worlds of soul and outer human living to be increasingly aligned in the years and decades following 2025. Okay, so there's a connection again. This is again from Courtney, but she's quoting Brandon House, who's really basically quoting Alice Bailey. Their pamphlet, The Next 3 Years, from 2022. By 1945, we'll have the inner structure of the world faith so clearly defined in the minds of many thousands that its outer structure will inevitably make its appearance before the end of the century. The inner structure of the World Federation of Nations, that's the UN, will be equally well organized by 1965, and it was, and its outer form taking rapid shape by 2025. And now the UN is doing things to us that are, it's unworldly how they're trying to push against, say, Trump and nationalists right now. Okay, so what am I arguing? I'm arguing that these people, these Satanists, these hierarchical people, are pushing to end the rebellions and the proxies where Genesis 3, this is Heiser's comments, that there was a rebellion. You know, the Nakash, the serpent, came in and tempted Adam and Eve, and he was using them as proxies to rebel against God. And then there was some kind of a lockdown, a prison for Satan at that point in time. And then Genesis 6, there was another one where fallen angels mated with humans, and that was proxy number 2, where they used the Nephilim to battle humans for resources and life. Proxy number 2. Proxy number 3, rebellion. Nimrod foments divine, possibly rebellion, by unifying humans against God. All of these, they wanted their own people to be their proxies on earth, and it failed. God locked them up. So what you need to see is that during the end of days, God will release King Apollo from the abyss in Revelation chapter 9, the 5th trumpet, but he won't be able to kill humans, and he'll be releasing all of these stinging creatures that pop up from the abyss to sting us for 5 months. That's release number 1. Release number 2 seems to be more of a Babylonian situation, where I argue that the Nephilim are sent out to battle humans for resources and life again. Okay, release number 2. Release number 3 then would be Satan plus 1/3 of the fallen angels foment divine rebellion to unify humans against God. Prison break or release number 3. Okay, that's the biblical angle of what's going on. 3 lockdowns in prison and 3 releases during the end of days, because there has to be the big showdown of Revelation 20. Okay, so others are saying this too. So this is the Sean Bryan show. Chris Bledsoe was on it. We're living in a world in the worst possible times right now, and we don't make some changes, there's going to be some major disasters about to happen, and it's man-made. He's not blaming the solar flares and other things like that. I am, but he's not. He's saying it's a dark force, and he put this in writing in 2012, and others, that people in power, I'm not going to say where the focus, my thoughts of the script of the book of Revelation, but it's about Armageddon, and he believes that's what's happening right now. And his book is UFO of God, Extraordinary True Story of Chris Bledsoe. I don't know where his angle is, but basically he's saying this evil side is getting more powerful. So in the red here, I don't know who they are. I think they're Satan. I think the people that worship the dark force, that don't care for humanity and human life. In fact, they're total opposite. You know, they worship the devil, or I don't know if there is a devil. I think it's a very dark force that is living full of dark entities that feed on you parasitically, like they've been non-physical. These then take shape or shape shift, and then they take over your mind at some point in time and make you do crazy things. He compares it again to the book of Revelation, and so he's arguing it's a dark force, and that's what's taking over right now, and that's what Alice Bailey and Aleister Crowley and others are pushing for. So Tom Horn argues the same thing, and he's definitely a Christian guy. He's dead now. He died in 2023. But he's saying it's possible, based on the Essenes calendar, that the Jubilee is 2025, and we're in it right then. right now. So basically, he's saying that's the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times, hidden secrets, forgotten prophecies surrounding the year 2025, America's occult destiny. Yes, these people are American occultists, them citing last prophecies of Qumran, forecasting 2025 as the final age of man. It would make sense, okay? And then obviously I'm talking about the Antichrist, the anti-Messiah, being uh, part of this problem with the fallen angels being released and the demons being released and other things like that. So it's just interesting. Then the Deagle report is pointing to 2025, a huge population reduction, 70.2% in the U.S. And so this is a report done by Doug Casey and another gentleman. And so he's basically saying it's outrageous, but also credible, highly urbanized will fall the hardest. And so he's talking about the Deagle forecast and how it's going to be horrific, the amount of population lost. We haven't seen it yet, but that's what Deagle predicts, and that's what he thinks is going to occur. So according to the Deagle report, population of the U.S. is 327 million. It'll drop to 100 million. That sounds like the fourth horseman. It could happen, people. It could happen. You're just not seeing that there are many walking dead right now. Germany will lose about 65%. According to Deagle, Australia will lose 34.6%. So basically, you're going to lose about the quarter of the world's population. Very interesting. In the midst of this time frame, you will have these blood moon eclipses taking off again. They have been non-existent for the last 2-3 years, and now there's a big series of 9. And so just be aware, 2 in 2025, 1 in 2026, and then a couple in 28 and 29, and then the 4-peat, the tetrad, coming up in 32 and 33, coming up. Okay, so just be aware of that. It's very interesting amidst the Deagle forecasts. So also, according to Ben Davidson, the sun's poles will soon flip. It's really soon here. So according to him, a preliminary and primitive prediction model of solar pole has the south reversal due in 4 weeks, and this is from February 20th, and the north reversal sometime around April, May, so just before this hierarchy thing from the Alice Bailey people would hit. What will happen then? We will have an increased earthquake season. Watch for high magnitude events, especially during peak Geiger cycle solar activity. We'll be tracking the fields. So basically, you'll see all sorts of crazy things. When the poles flip on the sun, you'll see more energy kick towards us, and it'll be protons first, then photons later on, and it will cause just horrific events to occur. Okay, earthquakes, volcanoes, other storms and other things like that. So just get ready for that as the poles flip. That it will increase the activity from the sun. So where are we at overall in the world right now? It's possible, based on the verses, that we are going into the Jubilee year that then last year of 2024 was the Shemitah year. We know the Bible talks about it. We don't know the years, but every 7 years you'll grant a release. That's the Shemitah. And the manner of it is the creditor shall release that which he has lent to his neighbor. He shall not exact of it. His neighbor, his brother, the Lord's release is proclaimed. Okay, and then, so this is Deuteronomy 15, and then continuing on with 9 through 12. Beware lest there be any base thought in your minds and hearts that you say, in the 7th year, the year of release is at hand, and your eye will be evil against your poor brother, and you will give him nothing. And he cry out to God against you, and it will be a sin unto you, as if your brother, a Hebrew man or Hebrew woman, is sold to you as a slave and serves you 6 years, and then on the 7th year you shall let him go for free from you and give him gifts and things like that. So again, Moses commanded of them at the end of every 7 years, in the year of canceling debts, during the festival of tabernacles, when all Israel comes to appear before Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, your God, at the place he will choose, you shall read this law before them in their hearing. So there are these Shemitahs, but then there's a Jubilee at the final time frame. So basically, was that 10/17 of 2024, and now we're in the Jubilee year, and we just aren't even aware of it. I don't know. Actually, yeah. We'll see. I mean, we'll just see. I don't know. Where are we? Are we in the trumps? I mean, are we in the birth pangs? Are we in the tribulation? Are we hearing the trumpets yet? No. We are in the birth pangs, probably in the 4th seal, maybe up to the 6th seal. We are not in the tribulation. We're not in the Great Tribulation. We are just waiting for things to occur. But we know that these people are cursing right now. And so we have to be aware that we're coming up on a wedding, on a Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur or a Sukkot of some future year. You'll need clean garments. You can't be naked. And so you need to talk to your friends and your loved ones and make sure that they're aware that this is the time to be prepared for the wedding. Because obviously the Satanists are aware of it, because they're they're doing their activities, okay? So what's going on then? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having problems. Okay, there it is. And so basically, you're going to be watching on March, the 13th and the 14th, the Blood Moon Eclipse. Then you'll see a full moon and a full moon, and then you'll have their June 11th ceremony, then another full moon and another full moon, and then you will get to the eclipse. And it's possible in the midst of it that you will have something strange occur. So let's see what else is also. Basically, they're trying to open portals for fallen angels. They're conjuring demons. It does sound like Revelation 9 and 12 and the 2 times in 9. And so, yeah, they're trying to conjure a fake Jesus. And that's basically what's going on. So just be aware of it and bless God for the fact that you're alive for such a time as this. Good night. God bless. Bye-bye.